So Piggy Chapter 7 was recently released, and with it, a whole bunch of information on the backstory of the virus, and on the elusive Mr. P. Well everybody, one of the biggest secrets from Chapter 5 has just been uncovered, and this could quite possibly tell us just how Piggy is going to end. I'm going to be breaking up this video into 4 separate parts, the first one being the timeline, where we will recap the story so far based on the secret notes we find around the chapters. The second part, I'll be giving you my predictions on what's going to be happening in Chapter 8. Then, we get onto the finale predictions. Just how is Piggy going to end? And what does the code on the blackboard tell us? Finally, we'll talk about the big questions that are still unanswered and what they might mean. So be sure to stick around till the end of the video, because what we discover will shock you. The timeline starts not at Chapter 1, but far before it. Mr. P has a significant person in his life who is very ill. This is most likely either his daughter or partner, as seen through the notes scattered around the metro. Mr. Potato rushes her to the hospital and begs them to make a cure. He funnels countless funds in a frantic rush to make her feel better, and it seemingly works. However, the patient starts showing signs of aggression and is promptly locked away in isolation. Mr. P, not thrown off his search for the cure, continues his research with the help of the hospital staff, eventually advancing his medicine to the point of animal testing. Enter the Pig family. Mother Pig, Father Pig, and Sister Pig all head in as voluntary test subjects. The majority of the family, save for George Pig, who stayed home, until they begin showing signs of aggression, and George Pig does not show up to school. He is declared missing. A missing persons poster is put out of the details of what he looked like when he was last seen. But one detail tells us it was already too late. While we're investigating George Pig's whereabouts at the Pig household, the rest of the Pig family is out in town, and Mother Pig sets her sights on the station. Meanwhile, the sick patient, now transformed into Piggy, has escaped isolation and attacked everybody in the hospital before fleeing to the metro underneath. Mr. P, who escaped the incident, begins the search for more test subjects and eventually finds Doggy in the forest, where he is ambushed in his sleep. Listen to this sound effect. Doesn't it sound like he's being forced to gulp down some sort of potion, which then clatters against the ground? Finally, Mr. P continues to the school, likely meeting Bunny on the way. They meet the teacher, and everything is fine, until he continues his evil experiments, perhaps spiking the teacher's coffee drink. After all, the teacher was fine when they got there. This forces Mr. P to flee, and Bunny becomes trapped. However, Mr. P needs his test subjects, so he calls the player to rescue them. Afterwards, it seems that he spikes us as we eventually fall ill and end up being carried to the hospital. Now you might be wondering, how does he have so many potions to use? Well, it seems Mr. P is quite well acquainted with the underground tunnels of the city, all of which connect to the experimental hospital. After leaving us on the hospital roof, Mr. P gives Bunny one of his special drinks, which Bunny takes. After all, Bunny trusted Mr. P, and that's where we're at now. We have to abandon Bunny in the metro as she falls ill under this strange illness that is infecting all the animals in the world of Piggy. Now there's 2 reasons that Mr. P could have given Bunny this potion. 1, to stop us from following him, or 2, to once again test the results of his experiment. Although this is less likely, because it seems he's had plenty of test subjects anyway. So Chapter 8 is very up in the air at the moment, but it will most certainly involve the hunt for Mr. P, as foreshadowed in the Chapter 7 ending. And with the introduction of Piggy and Skelly Piggy, I believe it won't be long before we see a graveyard map, or perhaps some more undead piggies coming to life. Plenty of subjects for Mr. P to experiment on. Here we are, and I believe I know just how Piggy is going to end. And it all comes down to the code on the chalkboard. After hours of trial and error on the code, I ended up just searching it up, and a few of the words matched an old Python project that was set for uni students. The Python project was to create a basic decoder based off a few hints that the teacher gave. Those hints revealed that the characters on the chalkboard coincided with the character 9 spaces to the right, looping back if we get past Z. With that said, time to reveal the message. I feel everything I do. I can't control my actions. I can't help myself. My mind yells for help, but my body does not agree. I wish the world would understand. This is massive. This message, presumably left by the teacher, reveals that they're still in there. Everyone infected is still aware of what they're doing. This opens up so many possibilities of a happy ending at the very end. Because if their minds are still in there, we just need to get their body back under control. But it's likely not going to be easy. We still need to find out just what Mr. P is doing, and we need to put a stop to everything that is plaguing this poor world. And with the hunt for Mr. P well underway, I believe it's likely that we've got 3 more chapters left in the Piggy story, giving us a total of 10 Piggy chapters in total. I believe Chapter 8 will involve us locating Mr. P's whereabouts. Chapter 9 will involve us actually reaching Mr. P, leaving us on a cliffhanger at the very end. Chapter 10 will involve us stopping Mr. P in a grand finale that will likely involve a lot more mechanics and I think a lot more piggies than any previous chapter. However, Piggy is still in alpha, meaning there will likely be far more content to come. A sequel, perhaps? We're gonna move on to the final part of the video, the current questions we have from the story. Now, our 2 main questions are both related to the hospital chapter. Number 1, just what is Mr. P's end goal? And why did he poison Bunny on purpose if he wasn't even there to see how the experiment would go? And number 2, probably the biggest question, assuming Mr. P tried to infect us with a potion during the school chapter, how did we recover? And why did we hallucinate Officer Doggy? Is it possible that we are immune? Could we be the cure, everyone? Well, I believe that's a question for future chapters. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know what your theories are in the comments below and tell me if I've missed anything. Well, until next time, sayonara, au revoir, goodbye!